God of War is a PC game. I repeat, God of War is a PC game. That still felt weird to say as I wrapped up my second playthrough over the holidays. Not far above it on my Steam library sits another game that is of war for a different master, Gears 5. Just a few years ago, these two tentpole series existing on the same device was just impossible, but now they share a virtual shelf. Sony's latest Angry Dad game is evidence that the PC is the ultimate video game unifier, and a great reminder of how the platform can bring out the best in games. I have killed my way across Midgard at 30 FPS on a PS4 and 4K on a PS5, but I don't think I can go back to either after 24 hours of buttery smooth monster chopping at 90 plus FPS. This is a damn good port, at least on my higher end PC. If you skipped the God of War 2018 or haven't touched the series at all, this is the God of War to play. This soft reboot picks up years after all those other games, and in that time, Kratos left a now godless Greece and wandered into the Norse lands, where he gained a wife who has just passed away at the start of the game, a son named Atreus, and a glorious dad beard. God of War is its restraint. It's a small story in a world of absolutely gigantic characters. Kratos and Atreus aren't out to save the world, they just want to spread their wife/mother's ashes on a big mountain. They're also not looking for a fight, but they end up walking into a bunch of them because apparently Midgard has been a nightmare land of evil trolls, poison witches, and zombies for the last century or so. Much of the game is basically carving a path through this broken world, unraveling the petty god drama that led to its ruin. There's also a lot of The Last of Us and Uncharted in its puzzly moments, hoisting young Atreus up a ledge to kick down a rope and jostling dilapidated supports to make a bridge are pages straight out of the Naughty Dog playbook. But these familiar puzzles get to have a lot of fun with Kratos' superhuman strength. It's both cool and funny how often Atreus ponders how they're going to cross the gap just as Kratos lifts a beam the size of 6 cars or spins an entire building like it's a wind-up toy. Where Nathan Drake looks for a chain to lift an ancient pulley, Kratos simply throws his axe at the gear so hard that they spin. Lifting rocks wouldn't be nearly as fun without the back and forth banter with Atreus, or as Kratos often calls him, boy. It's not exactly a new narrative trick to pair a strong silent type with an inquisitive youngster, but unlike the developing relationship of Joel and Ellie, Atreus and Kratos already have a layered rapport that's steadily peeled back over time. It's obvious from the jump that the two aren't close. Atreus is determined to prove he's ready to make the journey and pressured to live up to Kratos' high standards. Kratos, meanwhile, is an emotionally distant father who projects his issues onto other people.
Struck a nerve, did I?
For as good as God of War's characters and stories are, my strongest memories of the game all revolve around one of the greatest weapons in video game history, the Leviathan Axe. The axe is your primary weapon and do-it-all multi-tool throughout the entire game. It can pry open doors, destroy obstacles, freeze machinery in place, or be thrown the length of a football field to nab hard-to-reach loot. In combat, the Leviathan is a gratifying balance of heft and speed that hits a lot harder than Kratos' old Blades of Chaos. Here, again, Sony Santa Monica leverages Kratos' supernatural might to let you do impossible things with an axe, like cleave 3 enemies in half with a single move. It's awesome. Because nothing in God of War goes to waste, unarmed combat is an entirely different beast with its own skill tree and advantages. Blunt blows don't deal as much damage as the axe, but they do fill enemy stagger meters super fast. Once fully staggered, Kratos can seal the deal with an instant execution straight out of Doomguy's library of glory kills. This on-the-fly weapon swapping creates these fun improvisational brawls that complement every fighting style. I can keep spamming light attack, or I could go full galaxy brain by pinning the biggest guy in place with the axe, beating fodder zombies to a pulp, and recalling the axe at just the right angle to slice through an enemy on the way back. My second God of War playthrough was my best playthrough, and it had everything to do with the higher frame rate I enjoyed with this PC port. Like Days Gone and Horizon Zero Dawn before it, God of War flies on a good PC. On an RTX 3060 at 1920 by 1080, I was able to crank it up to the target FPS of 90 and mostly stay there with NVIDIA DLSS set to quality. I noticed things got a little choppy during doorway transitions to the open world lake area, but the frames would steady out after a while. God of War also runs fine without DLSS, though at this point NVIDIA scaling tech has gotten so good that I'm not sure why you'd ever flip it off if it's available. You can alternatively flip on AMD's Fidelity FX Super Resolution. I don't have as much experience with this one, but I noticed it was a bit blurry when I set it to quality. It's still good, and as a frame-hungry PC gamer, I'd keep it on if it was my only choice.
Can I have my bow back now?
Can you hit it from here?
We should get closer.
It's exciting to think about what God of War's landing on PC could mean for the console-exclusive status quo. Sony has a dedicated PC publishing label now, and as it gets more serious about PC ports, I'm wondering if we'll ever get to the point where its games release on PC months after launch instead of years. Could it even pull a Microsoft and drop everything on PC at the same time as console? That's probably a stretch, but God of War is a good sign. The best game on the PS4 is now one of the best games on PC.